Hi, it's Nichole, your host of the Tip That Scale podcast. I am a strategist, a consultant, and I'm also a development coach. And my goal is to help you tip that scale in your favor. This episode is the first official one of season 2 of Tip That Scale. I'd love to hear your comments, but more than anything, I felt like this was the perfect topic to start off this particular season. We're asking the question, what is success? What is success? How do you define success? To define success, let's go to the dictionary. Merriam-Webster defines success as a degree or measure of succeeding. What does that mean? It doesn't give me anything. The second definition makes it a little bit more understandable and maybe agreeable. The second definition from Merriam-Webster is favorable or desired outcome. How do you feel about that? Now let's get another definition. Let's go to Cambridge. The Cambridge Dictionary defines success as the achieving of the results wanted or hoped for. That's worth repeating. The achieving of the results wanted or hoped for. Okay, I like that. What does it mean to achieve the results you want or hope for? If we think about that definition, how do you define success in your life? Is it based on power, fame and notoriety, or money? I know a lot of people will define success in those terms based on those parameters. Do they have power? Do they have fame and notoriety? Do they have money? But then the question would be, how much power, how much fame, and how much money would it take for you to consider that you're successful? One of the things I've seen is how people define success in relationship to other people. So many have a warped sense of what success is and how to define it because we have been taught that success is based on how we look at other people. It creates an issue of self-awareness and self-confidence. And a lot of that really comes from people telling us and defining success for us based on others. We've given other people the power to define what it means for us to be successful. There's this belief that people with power, people with fame, people with money are successful. If that's what they wanted, they've achieved it, good on them. But them achieving their level of power, fame, notoriety, and money has nothing to do with my level of success, because my level of success may be defined in a different way. If I had to compare myself to Mark Cuban in the line of what it means to be successful, I would shrink in comparison. I've never owned a team. I've never been on Shark Tank. I've never been in any television show, or I take that back. I have been on a television show. We'll discuss that at another time. If I am comparing my level of success to Mark Cuban's, or if someone sees the two of us and then they say, well, Nichole's not successful, not like Mark Cuban. Well, no, you're right, I'm not. But that doesn't mean I'm not successful. If we constantly compare ourselves to others and what others are doing based on power, fame, and money as the foundations of success, so many of us will not hit the mark. One of my favorite phrases is comparison is a thief of joy. Let me say it again. Comparison is the thief of joy. If I needed to compare myself to someone else and what others determine or define success, then yeah, I'd be walking around here a hot mess because my joy wouldn't exist. How do you define success? Do you believe that Cambridge Dictionary definition that success is the achievement of the results wanted or hoped for? Or have you been duped into thinking that success is based on how much power you have, how much fame you have, and how much money you have? As you think about that, let me give you a different view of success. What if being successful and maintaining or achieving success has to do with completing school, completing a course, getting an interview, getting the job, being able to change your oil after watching a YouTube video? What if it's being able to have your dream vacation? Or for those of you seeing your child off to school, seeing your child graduate, whether kindergarten, 8th grade, high school, undergrad, graduate school, or even getting a PhD? What if success is nailing that recipe that seems so hard? What if success is putting that brisket on the grill and it coming out and tasting perfectly? What if success is being able to complete a podcast episode or finishing any project that you have, regardless of what project it is, personal or professional? Wouldn't you define all of those as a result of achieving a certain outcome? Let me say this about success. Going back to power, fame, and money. We all have a level of power in our lives. We all have a level of fame and notoriety within our circle. And as far as money, being able to make it, no matter how hard you have to scratch, even have to work to make the money, to get the money, to bring the money in, that definitely is success. So as we wrap up this episode of Tip That Scale, and we continue to think about what is success and what does success look like for me, for you, I just like you to consider success is believing that you can, not losing sight on what you can do, but also believing that you can do more. Success is a mindset. Success is a choice. Success is also defined by you and not by others. Thank you for sticking around for this first official episode of Tip That Scale. Welcome to Season 2.